though, man. That was good, dude. They delivered.
You are right on the money tonight, man. I got them right in order, man. We're going to start with UFC. We're going to do UFC real quick because I know most of you guys are wrestling fans. But
everybody's going to be all pissed.
Cry me a fucking river. So we're going to do UFC 115 real quick. We're just going to talk about the main couple matches. Talk about that. Then we're going to move on to Slammiversary from Sunday night. Then we're going to move on to Monday Night Raw from last night. Hopefully, we can get through all of this stuff in the next hour before we go to the break. I know it's going to be hard to accomplish, but we're going to give it a hell of a shot. And then after that, when we come back from the break, we will talk news. We got to talk about Scott Hall, ODB, and Bryan Danielson. Yeah. And live phone calls, questions, all that good stuff. Interactive. We'll be interactive in our numero dos. All right, so UFC 115 from Saturday night, man. What'd you think from top to bottom, man? My boy Chuck Liddell. Oh no.
Oh, if this is the last fight for him, dude, at least he achieved a lot and he's a legend in my mind, at least.
Here's the deal, and I can't remember. Somebody in the chat room, one of you UFC fans in the chat room, got to help me out on this one. Chuck's last fight, he was winning the fight, okay, and somebody knocked him out. Was it? I want to say Gabriel Gonzaga.
I don't even remember.
I wish I had Boone, man. I wish I had Boone. Boone, if you're listening, man, and you want to talk UFC, I don't know if he's listening. I haven't talked to Boone in a while, but if you're listening, buddy, call me, man. Call me now. And who knocked out Chuck? Franklin was obvious. I do suck at remembering people in the chat. My memory's horrible. I think it was Gabriel Gonzaga. I want to say Gabriel, so we'll say that. But Chuck was winning the fight. Bang! Gets knocked out by Gonzaga. Okay, we'll say. Then, this past Saturday night, Chuck's winning the fight. Bam! Knocked out, man. He's got a glass chin. You know what I mean? And I just don't think we haven't seen that before with Chuck, because he's always dominated. He's always come out and he's always got that sick knockout punch. And we've never seen that glass chin that he's had. We've seen it against Gonzaga. I keep saying Gonzaga. Hopefully I'm right. And we saw it again. Against Rich Franklin, where, I mean, you agree, right? Chuck was winning that fight.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude. He was putting on such a great performance, and then really, with it was 5 seconds left in the first round, and that's when he took that right hand, and he was down.
There was only 5 seconds left in the round. You know what I mean? And I just hate to see him go out on that note. And I watched the post-fight presser, the UFC 115 post-fight presser, and Dana said he's done, and hopefully Chuck agrees with that. Blah blah blah. I don't like it, man. I don't. I know you don't want to see Chuck lose, right?
Oh no, definitely not.
The way he's lost these fights, I mean, it's been a fluke, okay? It's been an absolute fluke. That shit happens in fighting, okay? Anybody, I mean, I could go in there. I'm about $170, okay? $160, $170. I could go in there against a dude that's 350 pounds. And one punch, you just never know. One punch, you'd never think, but I could knock him out. You know what? You just never know. And it just happened to Chuck. It happened to him this past Saturday, and it happened to him before against, hopefully, Gonzaga. You know? And it I just don't like to see it end like that. I think Chuck's got, he's still got a lot to offer. What is he, 40? I think he's 40.
Yep, 40.
And he's got a lot to offer, and I just hate to see fights like that end. And hopefully, I don't know, if UFC doesn't want him, fuck him. Fuck him,
exactly. I don't want to see him retire either.
That's a huge deal for Strauss. I don't think Chuck wants to retire. He didn't want to retire after the Gonzaga fight, okay? And then he came in, and basically the same thing happened that happened in that fight, and I just don't want to see him retire. So if UFC doesn't want him and Chuck wants to fight, Strikeforce would jump on him in a heartbeat, man.
For sure.
Imagine Chuck versus Fedor? Come on.
That's awesome.
Man.
Man. I mean, really though, like you said, dude, he looked great though until the last 5 seconds. Well, both guys actually looked good. Franklin looked really well, and he actually broke his left arm during the fight. Did you see that?
He did. He's got to undergo surgery. He actually showed up at the post-fight presser. He had an ice pack and a sling on his arm, and he only stopped in for about 5 minutes, and then jetted out of there, I'm guessing, to go to the hospital. Chuck never showed up.
Yeah, he didn't come to the press, no.
Well, he didn't. When he got knocked out, I mean, he was on the ground for fucking 5 minutes, man. I mean, he had this glazed look in his eyes where you were just, oh, man.
It was just kind of sad for me to see that, you know what I'm saying? I've always been a big Chuck Liddell fan, dude.
Yeah, hopefully he's not done. Then we had Pat Barry against Mirko Cro Cop. Cro Cop had a couple losses in his past few fights. Well,
I like Cro Cop.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's awesome, man.
I love to see him get a shot at the title, dude. He was dominant.
You didn't see very many of his kicks. I mean, he threw a couple kicks. He went for a spinning back fist at one point, too, which is pretty cool to see. But Cro Cop back on, the winning ways, so that's good for him. Cro Cop sticks around in UFC. They were saying if Cro Cop had lost that fight, he would have been gone from UFC.
Oh, yeah.
And then he came out and said that if he was gone from UFC, or if UFC fired him after that fight, if he had lost, he was gonna retire. Basically, he didn't want to fight for anyone else except for UFC. So we don't have to worry about that. Cro Cop.
It didn't look good in the beginning though. I mean, didn't he get knocked on his ass like 2 times?
Right.
Yeah, dude. And then he took over in the second and third. Like he just went strong and had a lot of groundwork.
Yeah, we had one more fight, and then we'll move on. Paulo Thiago against Martin Kampmann. I'm a big fan of Martin Kampmann, man. Something about him.
Oh, me too, dude. And he probably had, I think, my opinion about the best UFC performance he's ever had.
Oh, right.
On Saturday, dude. He was dominant.
Well, I think all 3 judges, I think, had a 30-27 across the board.
Yeah,
so.
It was unanimous, dude.
And then what was the last? I mean, there was Gilbert.
Did you see, I wanted to ask you, did you see that ref that messed up that first fight, Danzig?
Who was the Eve Levine? Was it Eve?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was on Spike TV. Yeah, the ref had thought that
he was unconscious.
Yeah, he was getting choked out, and I think the ref had thought that he was completely out because who was the guy that he was fighting? The dude that he was fighting told the ref.
Yeah, I told the ref that he was knocked out, but he wasn't. He was just bloodied as hell, wasn't he?
Matt Wyman, right?
Wyman, whatever. I can't remember.
Yeah. Well, he told the ref. He told Eve that he was out, or he thought he was out, and then the ref apparently took his word and called it. And you got to give it up for Mac in the post-fight interview, my man. He was really, really respectful. Said, you know what?
Sure.
Basically said everybody makes mistakes, referees make mistakes, and that simply happened in this fight. So, not a guy. I mean, Mac was he was a character on the reality show. You know what I mean? I remember following him back in the days of when he was on there. So.
That was
whatever. So, all right, so that's UFC. We won't spend too much time on that. We'll move on here to Slammiversary and Monday Night Raw from last night. What a crazy angle to end Raw, huh?
Oh, for sure. Well, which one do you want to talk about first?
Who was driving that car?
Not Daniel Bryan. My opinion, Vince McMahon.
Really?
I'm going with this whole Vince McMahon thing. I'm telling you.
Remember that promo? You're right. Remember that promo that he did? What was it? 2 weeks ago, where Vince came out and said, "I'm going to make your life living hell." Yeah, something like that.
Well,
there you go.
You know what this kind of reminds me of, though? I can see happening. You remember, I brought this up last week, but you remember when they had WCW come in, and it was kind of like Shane McMahon against Vince McMahon's, WWE versus WCW for control?
Right.
I think we're ending up seeing Vince McMahon's NXT rookies against Bret Hart's WWE. And this, like I said, I don't know if this is a fact. This is my own predicament, or my own prediction on it. And
they did. Last night they set it up that way. They set it up where it was going to be the Raw stars versus the NXT stars. The thing that was really weird. I'll tell you what. You know what? Save this.
Okay,
we'll go in order. We'll get Slammiversary and then we'll go back to Raw because we haven't even talked about the whole Bryan Danielson thing, which is just crazy. Sure. You know, let me just say this: when I first saw it on WWE.com, you had to know. I mean, it said, okay, if it said WWE has come to terms on the release of Daniel Bryan, and it didn't have Bryan Danielson in parentheses, I mean, the parentheses thing, I mean, that's what did it. I mean, that's Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, both of them. I mean, it's, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, the parentheses should have, that was the key for me. But anyway, we'll come back to that.
We'll get back to that, yeah.
All right, there. It's Slammiversary from this past